signs of female infidelity that she will never be able to hide, no matter how much she wants to and no matter how hard she tries. Today, we will break down these shocking signs. Shocking, at least for some of you. Earlier, I recorded a video about the signs of female infidelity. There are many points, but mostly behavioral. How a woman changes, how her image changes, how her clothing changes. If you have not seen it yet, watch it. But today, we will talk about other signs, the ones she cannot hide and can hardly influence. I will start with the lighter, simpler signs, and then move on to the harshest ones. These things were shared with me by men during consultations. This is not fantasy. For years, I gathered them piece by piece, and today I am sharing this information with you. Watch until the end. I am sure you will be surprised. The easiest sign number 1, sudden weight loss of your woman. She might have lost weight because she deliberately went to the gym, went on a diet, wanted to look more attractive for her lover, or to get in shape. But there is another important factor why she could have slimmed down so quickly, due to an active, intimate life. Yes, she began engaging in it actively. Some allow themselves meetings with a lover every day or several times a week. It may seem like the forgotten story of physical exercise, and suddenly it once again enters your woman's life actively and intensely. With you, intimacy might be gone, or it has become rare, or it has turned into a formality, boring, without spark. Intimacy with a lover is a completely different matter. There, she tries, fantasizes, gives her all. That means wet sheets, damp clothes, and because of this, she will lose weight. Pay attention to this. Among women, there is even a saying. You look at one woman, she used to be, say, plump, and suddenly she slimmed down and became more attractive. And of course, among themselves, they whisper, intimacy appeared. Closeness has returned to her life. The next sign, number 2, friends, is all sorts of marks on your woman's body. Bruises, hickeys, fingerprints. A story from one client. The woman returned from a business trip, and on her thigh was a clear handprint. All 5 fingers left their mark so distinctly that no questions remained. This is exactly what you need to pay attention to. Most often, passion shows itself on intimate areas, thighs, breasts, neck. There, whether you want it or not, in the heat of intimacy, traces remain. And you must understand, intimacy with a lover is not that formal, boring closeness that might exist at home with you. There, everything is different. Passion, excitement, no restraints. They might not hold back. Yes, most often women leave scratches on a man's back, but sometimes it is the opposite. A man with slightly grown nails can dig into her buttocks so that the marks speak for themselves. And do not forget, lovers can be overtaken by passion anywhere, in a hotel, in an apartment, at work, in a storage room, even in a restroom. Awkward positions, limited space, all of this only increases the likelihood of strange-shaped bruises appearing on her body, in unexpected places. And she will never be able to explain such marks. Tell me, how can you accidentally get hit in such a way that a whole handprint remains on your thigh? Or where do those small bruises suddenly appear on the inner surface of the thigh? It is impossible to explain them with everyday reasons. And it is exactly such little things that expose infidelity more clearly than any words. Moving on to more interesting signs of infidelity, this is sign number 3, changes in a woman's intimate behavior. The fact that she refuses intimacy with you is too obvious. We have already discussed that. What is much more interesting is something else. If suddenly your woman becomes excessively active and begins to display elaborate fantasies, that is a serious reason to think about it. Let's say before, intimacy with you was boring, monotonous, and then suddenly, bam, she introduces some new things, which means he is teaching her and she is already applying this to you. It often happens that, especially in the beginning, when a woman is fascinated by her lover, she thinks about him constantly. Even when she is at home next to you, she remains in a heated state. Let me share a story from one client. His wife had a lover. She herself admitted that she had been in a state of arousal for a long time. They could meet only once or twice a week, but all the rest of the time she remained in euphoria, thinking about him, recalling their wild, crazy passion. She had been with her husband for years, and intimacy was modest, dull. As they say, you don't even have to take off your shirt. She confessed, "I go to bed, I fantasize. I wake up,
I fantasize again. My husband walks by and I'm already so aroused that I grab him. Come here, I need intimacy. The husband, of course, attributes it all to himself. Like, I'm so great, I'm so amazing that my wife is so eager for me. But friends, how can you credit yourself if she does not spend time with him, if there is no real contact between them at all, if she constantly tries to escape from home? Clearly, the reason is not that he is a mega lover. The next sign, number 4. And here's a story from a client. He says, I start intimacy with her and realize that literally just recently she had been with another man. What does he mean? He explains, her vagina had not yet contracted. It was elongated and widened. The vagina is a muscular pouch that gradually returns to its form after intimacy, but this takes time. And here it turns out she was just in bed with her lover, and after an hour or two she comes home and she already has no desire. The man begins and immediately understands. Quoting the client, it felt like entering a bucket. This also includes something else, an enlarged clitoris, swollen labia, because during arousal, blood flows to the pelvic organs and all this swells. And in addition to this, the vagina which has not yet returned to its original state. The next sign, number 5, friends, is related to changes in microflora. Speaking directly, a woman develops thrush. She begins sleeping with a new man, and he brings his own microflora. This is inevitable. The body reacts. The result is thrush, curd-like white discharge, a sour smell, itching, burning, discomfort. Sometimes it's not only the new flora, but also the consumables, condoms, fragrances, lubricants, even a reaction to latex. Most often, it still looks like a disruption of the microflora, but tracking the connection is important. I also include another story here, not thrush, but the same changes in flora that lead to cystitis. She started sleeping with a new man and caught cystitis. Her own flora changes, plus cystitis is easy to pick up when during intimate games, the man performs oral sex and introduces infection in that way. If your woman is strong, never suffered from it before, and suddenly all this appears, especially alongside other signs of possible infidelity, that is a reason to think about it.
Also, friends, a very important sign number 6 is a change in smell. Specifically, the intimate smell of your woman. Many men react to this very sharply because they are already used to her natural aroma. I am not talking about her reeking from a kilometer away. No. It is simply that once she starts sleeping with another man, even if she does not have thrush, no discharge, the smell itself changes. Why? It is simple. The flora changes. She was used to you, lived with you, slept only with you, her flora formed under you, and the smell matched, and now it's different. Many men are very sensitive to such things, and the first thing they noticed is precisely this change. I will tell you honestly, it is a subtle but very important prognostic sign. If the smell suddenly became different, there is reason to think about your woman's fidelity. And now let us move on to the signs that she definitely will not be able to hide. They are much harsher, and here I include sign number 7, venereal diseases. Here I don't even know how a woman can hide it. Of course, she may try to arrange a quarantine to say, I don't want to, I can't, it's not the time. She may get treatment, try to conceal something, but to hide this for long is almost impossible. Many men shared, you sleep nearby, the blanket shifts a little, and you already feel this specific smell. And the smell, you understand, is accompanied by discharge, discomfort, burning, and other signs. And do not forget another point. Some suppositories suddenly appear, procedures. The woman begins to isolate herself in the bathroom and the toilet, plus frequent visits to doctors. All this is very easy to notice. And the scariest thing is, she can infect you. And here you should not look for excuses like, well, maybe she washed in the bathhouse and dried herself with the wrong towel. No, friends. If a venereal infection has appeared, it is 100% the result of contact with another man. The next sign, number 8, friends, smoothly follows from the previous one. The woman begins to actively visit gynecologists. And not just one, but several. Doctor hopping. Normally, a healthy woman only needs to visit a doctor once every 6 months for prevention. If your woman is healthy, you have not noticed this before, and now suddenly constant visits begin, prescriptions, an incredible amount of pills, it is the right time to pay attention and ask questions. Where is she constantly going? Where is she making appointments? And what exactly is she taking? The next sign, number 9, comes from the story of one client. The man says, "I did not even know what pills my woman was taking, what suppository she was using. In the fridge, a whole scattering of suppositories, some medications. She mumbles, dysbacteriosis, something else, saying that we have a moratorium, no intimacy." At some point, it dawned on him. He reached for his own tablets, accidentally took her package, and started reading the instructions. And there, a whole bouquet, which is treated precisely for corresponding diagnoses. That's how he figured her out. Friends, pay attention to what is being bought, what is stored in cupboards, and why. And ask direct questions. Why did you suddenly start running to women's doctors? Why does a woman run to gynecologists and other doctors? The standard options are thrush, vaginitis, bacterial vaginosis. I will clarify immediately. Your woman does not necessarily have to be cheating for her microflora to change. If there are no other signs of infidelity, don't torment yourself. Hypothermia, hygiene errors, this happens. But if these visits go alongside all the other alarming markers, that is reason to think. Another reason is the need to take smears in case of suspected venereal disease. If the diagnosis is confirmed, she will already go to a dermatovenerological dispensary. And if this is a serious case, she will be registered. Here begins the most unpleasant part. As a rule, all participants are contacted, the lover, the husband, all partners. This is epidemiological registration, and it is taken seriously. The next sign, number 10, and I will start with a question for you. Why else might she be visiting doctors and gynecologists? Here, it is already hard stuff. I will tell you about a case that a client shared. The woman began actively going to doctors. Then, for a month, she had different reasons for refusing intimacy. Then a man accidentally finds out she had an abortion. And the abortion was not from him, because at that time he was on a business trip. After an abortion, no matter which one, medical at early stages, vacuum aspiration, or curettage, in any case, there will be bloody discharge, the healing process, possible inflammations. A woman is prescribed medication, antibiotics, sometimes hormones, and of course, sexual abstinence for 2 weeks or even longer. Separately, I will say, I have deep knowledge here. I worked in gynecology during my studies at the medical academy. That is why I know how it looks in practice. Treatment regimens, rehabilitation periods, patient behavior. If you see such a set of signs combined, medications, suppositories, frequent visits, quarantine, strange explanations, do not ignore it. This is not the case where everything will resolve on its own. Friends, we move on to sign number 11, which, believe me, cannot be hidden. Imagine you come home and the woman tells you, "We need to use protection," and pulls out a pack of condoms. That is it. You can confidently assume that she is cheating on you. And what could it be? Standard options: vaginitis, bacterial vaginitis, or a venereal infection. And then the usual begins. "Oh, I have a yeast infection," or some other excuse. But friends, that is not the point. Until that moment, everything was fine. She slept with you calmly, without protection, and suddenly there was a sharp fear of your flora. And this fear is not for nothing. Either she is afraid of infecting you, or, on the contrary, of catching something from you after her adventures. Another striking sign, number 12, friends, which is almost impossible to hide, is damage to the mucous membrane. A woman may come home complaining of pain, dryness, unpleasant sensations in the vagina. Why? Because intimacy with a lover is often rougher, more intense than the usual marital one. And here we are talking not only about bruises or scratches on the outside, but about micro tears inside. Such injuries cause a burning sensation, sharp pain when urinating, and may be accompanied by bloody discharge, the healing process, possible inflammations. A woman is prescribed medication, antibiotics, sometimes hormones, and of course, sexual abstinence for 2 weeks or even longer. Separately, I will say, I have deep knowledge here, I worked in gynecology during my studies at the medical academy. That is why I know how it looks in practice. Treatment regimens, rehabilitation periods, patient behavior. If you see such a set of signs combined, medications, suppositories, frequent visits, quarantine, strange explanations, do not ignore it. This is not the case where everything will resolve on its own. Friends, we move on to sign number 11, which, believe me, cannot be hidden. Imagine, you come home and the woman tells you, "We need to use protection," and pulls out a pack of condoms. That is it. You can confidently assume that she is cheating on you. And what could it be? Standard options: vaginitis, bacterial vaginosis, or a venereal infection. And then the usual begins. "Oh, I have a yeast infection," or some other excuse. But friends, that is not the point. Until that moment, everything was fine. She slept with you calmly, without protection, and suddenly there is a sharp fear of your flora. And this fear is not for nothing. Either she is afraid of infecting you, or, on the contrary, of catching something from you after her adventures. Another striking sign, number 12, friends, which is almost impossible to hide, is damage to the mucous membrane. A woman may come home complaining of pain, dryness, unpleasant sensations in the vagina. Why? Because intimacy with a lover is often rougher, more intense than the usual marital one. And here we are talking not only about bruises or scratches on the outside, but about micro tears inside. Such injuries cause a burning sensation, sharp pain when urinating, and may be accompanied by pink or red discharge. From practice, one man said that his wife literally jumped from pain when he entered her during intimacy. Then she had bloody discharge, and she excused herself with, "Oh, my period is starting." But he figured it out. Her period had just ended. There was no way it could be the cycle. It turned out benign microtraumas after passionate intimacy with her lover. And another sign, number 14, friends, very harsh but important. This is the smell from the mouth and skin after passionate intimacy. Many men note, after meeting with her lover, the woman comes home and there is a characteristic smell emanating from her. This is not perfume, not cosmetics, but precisely that very kind of trail of intimacy. A mixture of sweat, seminal fluid, lubrication, secretions. A woman can wash as much as she wants, but the subtle smell remains on the skin, hair, and breath, especially if the contact was recent. And any man who has lived with her for years will sense this foreign smell.
Next, sign number 15, changes in the breasts. If a woman has started an active sexual life with a lover, the breasts react. They become more sensitive, often slightly swollen. The nipples darken, or there may even be slight discharge. Normally, this is associated either with pregnancy or with hormonal changes. But when all this coincides with other signs of infidelity, it can no longer be explained by everyday reasons. One man at a consultation told me, "My wife came back after a meeting, her breasts were hot, her nipples inflamed. I asked, what happened? She says, the underwear is rubbing, but we both understand that the underwear is the same as before." Now, sign number 16, the skin in the intimate area. Pay attention to rash or irritation in the intimate zone and on the inner thighs. Frequent change of partners or new condoms or lubricants can cause contact dermatitis. In addition, there may be allergic reactions, red spots, rashes, itching. A woman will try to hide this, explaining it as a new cream or laundry detergent, but a man who looks carefully sees these changes did not appear by chance and are clearly connected with her intimate life. Sign number 17, hair and skin odor. This is a subtle moment, but very telling. After intense intimacy, a woman's skin odor changes. It becomes sharper due to the active work of the sweat and sebaceous glands. In addition, the hair on her head and in the pubic area begins to smell different, absorbing someone else's scent. Even if she washes, an attentive man still feels that this is not her aroma. This is exactly what clients say. "Before, my wife always smelled the same, but now she comes back and the smell is different, not mine."
And of course, the toughest and last sign for today, number 18, which cannot be hidden, is pregnancy not from her husband. No comments are needed here. If a man, for example, was away for a long time and a woman announces a pregnancy a couple of months later, there are no questions left. And believe me, such stories happen more often than it seems. And I will finish with a very sad story that happened to one man, my client. He returned home from a business trip, and his woman declared, "We need to use protection." To the direct question, "Why?" she replied, "Because I got infected with HIV. That's the kind of tragic story, my friends. Life, of course, is different, and all sorts of things happen in it. But I sincerely hope that none of you will ever face anything like this. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you a life without infidelity and without betrayal. Thank you to everyone who liked this and subscribed to the channel. What do you think about this? Write in the comments, and see you in the next video.